Hi everyone, and welcome to this video Some Frontier video. My name is Jay Wakefield, and today's date is March the 26th, 2013, and the time is currently 8 minutes to 10 in the morning. Now today, I don't know why that did that, but never mind. Today I was, what an odd thing to happen. Oh well, it beeps at you when I beeps at me when I adjust the screen. Okay. Anyway, that aside, today's video is on how to install Windows 98. Now I know this kind of seems like an obvious thing to do, but to some people it might be educational. There's a couple of tips and tricks along the way that I want to kind of show you, in order to kind of make the Windows 98 install process go as smoothly as you want. Anyway, the machine that I'm doing it on is a ThinkPad T21. A replacement for the dead T21. Unlike the other one, this has an 800MHz Pentium 3 processor, which is now in my Dell Latitude C500, and of course you guys all know that it's in the C500 because I showed you the upgrade process. Anyway, let's have a look at this machine. I was hoping to do a video on the ThinkPad T21 quite some time ago and never got round to it for some reason. Probably because it died. Now unfortunately the top of this screen is quite badly scratched and scarred and goodness knows what, I don't know. To be honest, it kind of looks like it was found in the battlefields at Culloden. And that wasn't our finest hour actually, if I'm going to be honest, was Culloden. Anyway, hang on a minute, I think I'm going to put the light back on for this bit. Because here on the left hand side we have a vent for hot air to come out of. Of course the processor with an appropriate heat sink and fan can generate as much hot air as your average Tory politician. Next to that we have 2 Pcmcia card slots. Type 2, 2 Type 2 cards or 1 Type 3. Headphone out. Line in, headphone in, line in, no. Headphone out, line in, microphone out. The in. Darn. And then on the front we have lid catches. And then here we have the speakers. And then on the right hand side we have the DVD-ROM drive. This, just like on the 23, because it basically shares the same chassis, this is a hot swap drive bay. This DVD-ROM drive has been taken out of the old ThinkPad T21, the one that's no longer working. It's kind of a shame that that one's no longer working, because I mean that one was in immaculate condition, whereas this one, like I said, I mean it looks like it came from a battlefield somewhere. Really quite sad. Oh, and here is an infrared port. It's quite well hidden, but it is there. On the back of this machine, you have a Kensington lock slot, S-video out, RS-232 serial, Centronics IEEE 1284 parallel LPT port, the port of 1,000 names. Very yellowed VGA port, kind of gives it a very interesting nice green colour, but it's not meant to be that colour. It's meant to be blue. It's very dusty, this machine. 56k modem, Ethernet, power, one USB port as opposed to the ThinkPad T23's 2, and PS2 keyboard and mouse port. And this is not a machine you want to hold with one hand for a very long, for a lengthy amount of time. On the inside you have a ThinkVantage key. You've got to install the drivers in a certain way. I think to be able to get the ThinkVantage button to work, you're supposed to, you know, tap your left elbow and go, "Morning, Captain, morning, Captain, morning, Captain," 3 times, and it spit 3 times, and I don't know what else you do, but, you know, it is quite, you have to do things in a certain way to get that button to go. Seriously, kind of reading looking through the README files on how to make that button to go, I think the only person that's going to be able to ever actually get ThinkVantage working is an autism parent, because they understand what it means to have to adhere to a routine. Which means, as someone with autism myself, I should actually, or Asperger's syndrome, I should actually be able to do it myself. Never mind. Doesn't really matter. Certainly not at this stage. Moving on. See if I can adjust this tripod a wee bit. Oh, there we go. That's done it. Anyway. So, let's turn it on. Let's get into the install. At the beginning, you may or may not have seen that I formatted the hard drive. And when I formatted it, I typed format C:/S. Now the S switch copies the system files over to the hard drive. And you'll see why I do that later on. But for now, the Windows 98 CD is in the DVD drive. So we're going to boot from that. Now, when asked, you want to boot from the CD-ROM. We don't want to install Windows, we just want to start the computer with CD-ROM support. Ironic starting it without, though. Seeing as we are booting without the CD-ROM drive. Now, if we have a look at the C drive, we see that it has been formatted. The command.com file is there. So there are some systems. There are some things, you know, system files in. It tells me that 93,090 bytes are in use, and that there are 19,067.47 megabytes free. Well, that's kind of good because it's a 20 gig drive. Now, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to copy all of the Windows 98 installation files to the hard disk. Now, I know you're probably thinking, well, they're going to take up space, and why would you do that? Well, it's kind of a good reason, really. Anyone who's used Windows 95 or 98 for any period of time, used it as the main operating system, will know that when you try and set new things up, it's always asking, "Oh, please insert the Windows 98 disk. We want the Windows 98 disk. Could you give us the Windows 98 disk?" Kind of gets a wee bit wearisome after a while. And on a 20 gig hard disk, I believe that there is more than enough space to keep the files on the hard disk. I believe it is the best thing to do. More so I would say with Windows 95. I mean, if you're installing Windows 95, I believe I covered this in my Compaq Armada 7750 MT video when I was showing you how to install Windows 95. Sometimes Windows 95, when it restarts the computer in the first phase of setup that's in Windows 95, it forgets the disk drive is there. So it's like it's wanting to copy files, but it can't read from the CD drive. Now, I've never noticed that in Windows 98, but it's, like I said, it's kind of good to have all the files on the hard disk, just in case you happen to lose CD-ROM support and it's a driver issue. Anyway, let's copy the files over. We're not just going to copy them into Windows 98. We're going to do it in the same way that OEMs do it. So first of all, I want to make the Windows directory. So, to do that in MS-DOS, what you need to do is type MD, that stands for make directory. By the way, if you're wondering what a directory is, it's a folder. In MS-DOS and Windows 3.1, they were called directories. In Windows 95 and above, they were renamed to be called folders. So MD, Windows. Right. Now we want to make a directory within the Windows directory called options. So a couple of ways to do that. I could cd into Windows, change the directory, go into Windows and then make the directory that way. But to be honest, it's easier to type md Windows / options. See, it's saying make a directory within Windows called options. And then within the options folder, I want a cabs folder. So again, md Windows / options / cabs. Okay, that's the directories created. Now what I want to do is I want to actually go to the cabs folder. To be able to get there, I need to type cd, so I want to change the directory, because at the moment we're just on the C drive, to Windows / options / cabs. Obviously I could change directory and go to Windows or Windows / options. So now I'm in the cabs directory. As you can see, there's nothing in here. Now we want to populate it with everything that's in the Win98 directory on the Windows 98 CD. We don't need anything else to be copied over to the hard drive. We only need the Win98 directory. That is what's usually asked for by Windows when it wants a Windows CD. So, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to check which drive the CD drive is. I believe it's D, but you can never be too sure. It is. So I'm going to go back to C, and it's taking me back to the cabs directory. Now, to copy everything from the Windows Win98 directory, I just type copy D : /Win98 /. Now here's what you do. To copy everything, you need to use what's known as a wildcard. So you need to say copy any file of any type. If I wanted to copy a specific file, like just a setup file, I could copy D : /Win98 / setup.exe. But I want to copy every file, so it's *.*. If I just wanted the cabinet files, I could put *.cab. Or if I wanted if there was loads of readme files, I could just copy D : /Win98 / readme.star. And then anything that had readme, whose file name was readme, if it was a text file, if it was a help file, would be copied. But like I said, because we want to copy everything, it's *.*. Now because we're copying it into this directory, I can just press enter now. If I wanted to copy it to a different directory, I would actually have to type the name, the path of the directory to copy it to. So I would, if I was back at the in the C directory, in the root directory of the hard drive, I'd have to type copy D Win98 /*, and I'd have to put c:\\windows\cabs. But because I'm in the cabs directory, I can just leave this as it is, press the enter key. Okay, so that's all the files copied. Now, with all of these files copied, we really do not need the Windows 98 CD in the drive anymore. So, what I'm going to do is remove it, and then what I will be able to do then, there we go, is restart the computer. Now if all this went well, there we go. Now booted into a Windows 98 DOS prompt. Very good. So, once again, I'm going to go into the Windows/Options/Cabs directory. Now I'm going to start, hang on, before we do that, I'll show you the files are all there by typing dir/w, and there you can see all the cabinet files. Now we're going to start the setup program, and what that will do is it's saying, please wait while setup initializes. Setup is now going to perform a routine check on the system. To continue, press enter. To quit setup, press escape. And what this routine check is scan disk. So the hard disk is going to be scanned for errors. If any are found, they'll be fixed. Nothing was found, so we went straight into Windows 98 setup. Now just going to click continue. Now just like the ThinkPad T23, this is not one of the world's best LCD screens. As you can, I don't know if you can pick it up on the camera, but it really is quite blocky. Now this is going to take a while to get to the next screen because of course it's expecting a floppy drive to be there. There are no floppy drives. In fact, in order to even be able to connect a floppy drive to the system, you need the dock. Which is why Elmel3 actually bought his when he had his ThinkPad T23, which has now went to Billy Carr, Road Geek. Now, it's going to select the directory, but because a Windows directory already exists on the system, and this is a full copy of Windows 98, it wants to copy the files to c:\windows.000. Now, I think that looks incredibly untidy. I hate that convention, and in any case, Windows is usually copied, the cabs folder is in the Windows installation directory. Well, obviously under options, but basically we want to change it so that Windows will be in its regular c:\windows directory. So, what we're going to do is click select other directory, then click next, and then it'll ask which directory to copy it into with c:\windows.000 already in the box there. What we're going to do is delete the .000 to make it c:\windows. Click next. It's going to say the directory C Windows already exists. If you continue, files in this directory may be overwritten. Do you want to continue with the specified directory? Yes, we do. Apart from the options folder, there is nothing in the Windows directory that, well, there's nothing. There is nothing to be overwritten. So Windows will then go on to prepare the directory so that Windows will be installed. It's all magical as this. And now we're going to have a look at setup options. I want to select custom, because I like to have absolute control over what's installed. So for example, if I want to do this and install just about everything. I won't install Web TV for Windows because that is useless. And what I want to do, go into the Internet Tools setup, section. I'm going to remove internet connection sharing. Don't need that. This machine will be will have its connection shared to it from my main PC, also known as the Shitrock. Whereas and internet connection sharing, what it generally tends to do, if you don't set it up properly, which I never have in a Windows 98 system, is leave a network. Basically, leave a device in the device manager with a yellow a yellow circle with an exclamation point on it, saying, something's wrong, and it kind of looks ugly, and I don't like things in my device manager to have errors. Anyway, now that everything's selected that we want to be selected, we're just going to click Next. Next, we've got to select a name for the computer. Make sure, if you're on a network, make sure your work group is the same on all of your computers. If it's not, they'll not talk to each other. We're going to call this computer ThinkPad-T21. Very creative name. Just going to leave that as work group, and a computer description if I wanted one there. Going to click Next again. Now it's time to select the keyboard layout and system locale. So I live in Scotland, which uses a British keyboard layout, and I live within the United Kingdom. So, I want regional settings to be British. Click Next. Establishing your location, Windows 98 makes it easy to get region-specific news and information. So it's guess that I live in the United Kingdom from the settings I set on the last screen that I am. So click Next. Now it's wanting to create a startup disk. You have to click Next. It'll get the files ready to create a startup disk. I don't want one. There's no floppy drive in the system. It'll only cause problems, so just click Cancel. Now it's going to start copying files. The Windows 98 Setup Wizard now has enough information to start copying Windows 98 files to your computer. If you want to review or change any settings, click Back. To start copying the Windows 98 files, click Next. Now, it doesn't matter which computer you're using Windows 98 on. The file copying part of Windows 98 setup always seems to take some time. And it certainly does compared with Windows 95, which used to be over before it had even begun. Sometimes it can be quite quick. Actually, it's been quite quick on here. However, that all said, I think it's time I pause the video here and I put the kettle on. Well, while I was away making my cup of tea, my watch decided to fall off. The spring bar decided to work its way out, so I've had to spend some time, but quite pleased to say I managed to fix that. I mean, it wouldn't normally be such a big achievement, but bearing in mind, I do have Asperger's syndrome, and that does affect my motor neuron skills. I mean, most of the time I can't even flaming write properly. But I have managed to fix my wristwatch. Didn't have the money to go and get it fixed. However, if you live anywhere near Aberdeen and you have a watch needing fixed, couple of jewellery stores in the market on Market Street. If you go to the one not next to the main doors on Market Street, but if you go to the one further in, I can't mind exactly where it is now because it's been a couple of years since I've been, but there's a nicest Asian couple that run a shop. when I say Asian, I think, you know, I think they're either Indian or Pakistani or something. Lovely woman there who'll fix your watch. And, yeah. So, I mean, I've used those guys a couple of times and, you know, it's been absolutely brilliant. Anyway, I did go and make my cup of tea. It's always a good idea to do so. I've read so many Windows installation guides that say, "Oh, now go and make yourself a cup of tea." Anyway, we've done the file copying part now, so Windows will ask for user information. Don't know why Windows 98 Second Edition does this once all the files have been copied, really, because it's like, you know, it asks you to accept the license agreement after you've done most of the installing. And if you find that you don't accept it, that means you've got to go back and reformat all your computer and everything again. It's like, you know, unless you're in XP does something really quite similar as well. You know, unless you're actually doing an in-place upgrade, you know, it copies all the files over. Hang on, no it doesn't, does it? No. Derp. It says press 8. It says press F8 to accept the license agreement. Oh. So it does. Anyway, so it's going to ask me for my name. My name. And the company I work for. Now, bearing in mind, Windows doesn't need a company name to continue. You can register Windows without one. However, I think it's a good idea to put one in anyway, as some programs won't install without that company name, and it saves you having to go and put it in, you know, think of one and put it in every time. If you've got this information there, any programs you have will take the information from there. Anyway, I'm going to press enter to go next. I'm going to accept the license agreement, and now it's going to ask for a product key. So if you'll bear with me, I'm going to have to jump cut while I put this one in. And when you press next, say Start Wizard. Windows 98 saved all information. Click Finish to continue starting Windows 98. I love that. Click Finish to continue starting. From the people who brought you, click Start to shut down your computer. Do you know, it's really quite funny. I mean, we have spent basically the last 18 years laughing. Well, we've basically spent, since 1995, laughing at Microsoft, going, yeah, you click Start, you shut down your computer, how good's that? But they had the last laugh when they took away the Start menu in Windows 8, I'll tell you that. A lot of people, you know, a lot of my friends are starting to like Windows 8. A lot of my YouTube colleagues, a lot of folk in the industry, a lot of users. Oh, hang on a minute. Sorry to interrupt myself, but because this is a laptop, it's detected the PC card slots as Windows 98 setup, and saying the wizard will help you install, you know, remove your existing PC card drivers which could conflict with the 32-bit Windows drivers, and install 32-bit Windows drivers needed to support PC cards. And it's going to ask, are there any PC card devices connected to this computer? Well, no, there are not. So I'm just going to hit Next. Windows did not find any existing real mode PC card drivers. Do you want to review your system files and select real mode PC card drivers so Windows can disable them? This is a clean install of Windows, so no. To enable 32-bit support, click Finish, and then restart your computer for the changes to take effect. Well, this isn't going to restart the computer because it's a Windows 98 setup, so it's going to set everything else up, and then it will restart the machine. As you can see now, it's installing PC card driver support from what it says is the Windows 98 Second Edition CD-ROM. But if you remember, I took the disc out. Anyway, like I was saying, a lot of my friends in the industry and on YouTube are starting to really like Windows 8, and, I guess, for some things I do as well, I mean, I like it on tablets and what have you, however, and I like the, sped up kernel. I do like the fact that you've got the Microsoft Store, it's a one-stop place for all your applications. However, I'm not too keen on the fact that I have Metro thrust upon me. I'm not too keen on the fact that if you use Start 8, you can't actually have Windows Explorer, the desktop shell, start as default. You have to go through Metro. I don't like the fragmentation of user interfaces. It's not consistent. You have Metro, you've got Ribbon, you've got Webby, you've got, oh my goodness. The ToastyTech.com reviewer Nathan Lineback kind of said it best. There's a video on YouTube and it says Windows 8 is, it's geared toward, the interface is geared toward content consumption rather than, getting tasks done. And I agree. I'm sorry, but I know people need to sell their wares, but I don't want my desktop turned into a billboard. I'm not okay with that. I actually find it quite insulting. Just because there's a square on my desktop saying buy Netflix doesn't mean I'm going to do that. I mean, yeah, Netflix I'm sure is a good idea, but I just don't have the money for that. And no amount of tiles is actually going to give me that money. Anyway, we're finally on to the home stretch with Windows 98 setup. So, time to actually set the date and time. It's March. It's actually March the 26th, 2013. And it's not quite 12 PM yet. Unlike Windows 2000, it doesn't actually adjust the time to AM. I love it when you go past, from 11 AM to 12 PM Windows 2000, it'll actually change your clock. So the time is 11:23. So there we go, 11:23 AM, and I need to select my time zone. If I can find the bloody mouse pointer, I will anyway. And I'm going to hit apply, and then I'm going to hit OK. And then what Windows is going to do is it's going to set everything up. Everything all set up. Always seems to hang at this bit, I've noticed that. Sorry about that, I had to restart Windows setup. Well, I had to restart. But, now it has configured everything and is updating system settings. Every Windows 98 installation does this. It does take a bit of time, so you've got to be patient with this one. And that's Windows 98 set up. Now, we're going to be going into the desktop, and as we're doing that, I'm going to get the disk out for the first thing that I actually wish to install. Now, while I generally disagree with modding versions of Windows, modding the kernel and updating system files so that they've got features of the next version of Windows. Well, basically I don't like it when you know, 98 SE2ME. Sure, it's a very good thing, but I mean, I don't like the idea of, you know, making Windows 98 feel like ME. You know, if you want Windows ME, get Windows ME. I mean, I know it has some problems, but I don't know. I mean, I'm just a bit of a traditionalist. However, I do believe that support for USB flash disks is something that any Windows 98 user could do with. So, with that in mind, I do have a CD here that I made up, that I actually made up for another machine of mine. And this has generic USB drivers on for Windows 98, so that you can use USB drives in the same way that you can on Windows 2000, Windows ME, and Windows XP. Now, in order to install these, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get the disk, stick it in the drive, like so. Okay, so that's the disk. That's the disk in. Gonna go to my computer. Obviously, this is one of my own disks, so you don't necessarily need to take pay too much attention to where the file is. The file is called NUSB 33E. Native USB driver for Windows 98 2nd edition version 3.3. So that's what it's called if you wish to download a copy yourself. Obviously, don't put it on a USB drive and transfer it over to your Windows 98 laptop, as it won't be able to read it unless it's installed. Okay, so that's the drivers installed. Obviously, like most driver installations, you want to restart the computer. And according to the Evening Express, our two main shopping centres, the Bon Accord Centre and St Nicholas Centre, are up for sale. I do wonder what that actually means, because the Bon Accord Centre was actually very recently redone. So you know, I really don't know what all that means. I think they should have cheaper eateries in there, and cheaper does not necessarily mean bad quality. Yes, I'm looking directly in your direction, DiMaggio's. Good thing about Foursquare is that I was, New Year's Eve, I was actually looking to just, you know, have a wee bit of lunch out. You know, I was feeling a wee bit lonely in that, so I thought, you know what, I'll have a wee bit of lunch. And, you know, just went up into the top floor of the Bon Accord Centre to see what there was. Had a look at DiMaggio's. I thought, yeah, this looks quite good. Kind of pizza, you know, kind of Italian, but, you know, you can get stuff with chips, and it's just what I'm fancying right now. So I thought, okay, well, I'll get that. So what I did was, I joined the queue, which was abysmally large, and I thought, okay, well, I'll jump on Foursquare. And as I did, I clicked on the DiMaggio's icon. And I just kind of saw lots of reviews. Go here if you like your pizza to be stone cold, or food is not very good here, this, that and the other. And it turned out people were actually just generally unimpressed with the place, so I thought, well, basically I left the queue. Bit of a shame for the restaurant, but, you know, it's kind of good for the consumer to know. Anyway, these drivers are installed. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to search for a USB port. There's only the one. Okay, let's try that again, will we? That's not worked. plug it in. There we go. So what's going to happen here, it will, unlike Windows 2000 where it'll just get on with it and install a driver, this will actually run the Add New Hardware wizard. So you just click Next, search for the appropriate driver. I'm going to uncheck floppy disk drivers. There is no floppy disk drive in here, and it's just going to spend a long time finding one. It does that. It does spend a good amount of time trying to find a floppy drive. So just uncheck that if you don't have a floppy drive in your machine. Then it'll say Windows driver file, search for this device, USB mass storage driver. Windows is now ready to install the best driver for this device. Click back to select a different driver or click Next to continue. So what I'm going to do is just click Next to continue. USB mass storage device. Windows has finished installing the software for your new hardware device. Windows has finished installing the new software that Windows has finished installing the software that your new hardware device requires. And then it's just going to obviously go through the motions of installing the actual USB disk. And now when I go into my computer, I will see that the USB disk drive has been mounted. So the reason I've installed that is because on this flash drive I have the IBM ThinkPad T21 drivers. And because it's USB 1.1, I want to copy those across. Not to my briefcase. Thank you. Thank you. Damn this eyesight. Okay. Copy this across to my... Seriously? My document. There we go. So this could take a wee while. However, the audio however, all the drivers are copying. Okay, so all the driver files have been downloaded. Now, the best way to install these is to have two windows open, and you'll see for why. So first thing I want to do is install the video drivers, because this screen looks kind of awful. As we found out on the ThinkPad T23, not terribly bad for gaming, but not the best. However, for regular Windows work like this, you need to be at the native resolution. So, I'm going to go into ThinkPad T21. We'll select the video driver, we'll install that. I'll be able to put my mouse pointer to large as well. I mean, I could do it now, but best to install the video driver. I'm going to accept the license agreement. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click and I'm going to copy this path. There's a good reason for that, because when it extracts the files, it doesn't actually give you the option to start the installer. So with the second Explorer window, I'm keeping the first one open so I don't have to navigate back to the files. Copy the path into the address bar, and there I am, display. And then I can just double click on setup.exe. And this is now going to savagely install the Savage IX driver. Like I said in the ThinkPad T23 video, I used to know a family of savages. Yes, I did. I knew a family of savages. I mean, seriously, they were savages. As in, their surname was Savage. Obviously, being a driver, being Windows 98, and, well, being any kind of, essential system driver, the computer's going to want to restart. It seems that you can install modems and Ethernet adapters without restarting, and as you can see, we've actually got the colours are all proper, and everything's a lot smaller now because the system has been adjusted to its native 1024 by 768 resolution. And both windows have came up. Now, a couple of things I want to do. This is how I like my windows. I'm going to have it show the window content while dragging. And then what else I'm going to do, I'm going to have change the mouse pointer to large black so that I can actually see it. There we go. Now we're going to go back. We're actually going to install the audio driver next. So same idea. We want to copy the installation folder. It will extract the files, but not give you the option to install it. Very, very thoughtful of you, IBM. So then I have to actually just go set it up. And this is a Crystal audio device. Crystal, a Cirrus Logic company. And then I'll restart because the device is already installed. It would give me the option to shut down. If this was a desktop computer and it was a Crystal Pcmcia or ISA sound card I was installing, I could use the shutdown option, shut down the computer, and then obviously that would then enable me to install the driver. Now hopefully, if all has went well, Found New Hardware Wizard has appeared. You'll have to forgive me, I do wonder if it will find the driver. No, it hasn't. So I'm going to have to specify a location. Oh no, it's going to look for a floppy disk because the A drive is there. There we go. No floppy disk, so I've clicked cancel. There we go. And then I want to go to window, C:\Windows WME audio. And yes, the Windows ME audio drivers do work. And then it's saying that Windows has found more than one driver. Well, it says that, but I don't know if it could have found any other. Crystal, Sound Fusion. Which do I want to install? The updated driver. Yes, I do. So I'm going to click next. And then it's going to go and install a couple of other things. And I could run a check to make sure the sound is working. I'm going to go into the control panel. One thing I do want to do is set the theme, like I did on the Dell Latitude ZSX, to Windows Default, so I get a nice shutdown sound. I do believe Microsoft copied that from the Power Mac Galaxy in his videos. So, well done you guys, you've got a lawsuit on your hands. Oh, wait. And then basically it's, you know, kind of standard fare for all the rest of the drivers. Battery maximizer. I don't even know why I'm installing this, because the battery in this machine is dead. It's as dead as a doornail. In fact, because it's dead, the safest thing I can do is to remove it. If you find you've got a dead battery, that's, you know, your laptop will usually flash the charging light or something like that. You know, it won't be acting normal. You know, if your machine is kind of like that, you can't get any power from the battery at all, safest thing you could do is remove the battery. Because the battery, it'll not very, you know, some will be fine, you know, some will just kind of sit there dormant, but some do not like being charged when they're dead. You know, I have heard about, you know, pretty scary stuff happening. And then, of course, you have Sony batteries from the mid-2000s that will basically blow up if you call your most hated neighbour a bad name. However, I do like the battery meter on the taskbar. My old ThinkPad, my R61, I used to have one of those. No, wait, did I install that last? I don't know. Oh yes, and I am installed. Oh. Guess what I forgot to do? Now I can't remember which one of these is the actual Ethernet driver for my computer, but I'm sure I'll find out when it fails to install. This one I'm going to have to do it manually. So I've got PCI Ethernet controller. Going to try LAN disk 2. I've got a good feeling about that one. And the good feeling was right. It has now found my Ethernet driver. It was a modem driver I was struggling to get going. So with all that said, I'm actually now going to attach an Ethernet cable because I think that might be really good fun. Might actually be, I could get in line with this. As long as I can get the cable in, which I seem to be having difficulty with. There we go, it's in. So I think the best idea, rather than me sitting here recording the installation of all of my drivers, which would be very entertaining, not, I think what I'm going to do is just kind of report back once everything is installed. Okay, so that's Windows 98 installed with all the drivers, and damn it, it was working a minute ago, the on-screen display. Not being able to get the Think Manager button working, and there are, you know, I need to find a couple of drivers for the modem and something else, but there is some pretty interesting stuff here. Access ThinkPad. Kind of a precursor to, you know, a lot of the ThinkPad apps that you now have if you buy a Lenovo one. Lots of interesting help tips here. Then there's a ThinkPad Assistant. Basically instructions for the ThinkPad. And then there's the ThinkVantage ThinkPad configuration. Something that I did have on my R61i. Something that actually worked on my R61i that doesn't seem to work on here. I don't know how well this computer copes with Windows 98, but there wasn't really any Windows 98 drivers to speak of on IBM's website. I mean, yeah, there were, but I mean, the official choices were Windows 2000, ME and XP. Well, the ThinkPad T23 runs 2000, so really, you know, I kind of wanted this to run Windows 98. But I mean, I will have it run ME if I have to. You know, just to get the right drivers and what have you. You know, I will do that. My other one didn't like Windows. Well, it kind of did, but I never felt that Windows ME was right for it. But I mean, if I've got a T23 running 2000, I guess it couldn't hurt, you know? I mean, this is a different computer from the old one. It looks a lot more battered. And, well, 98 doesn't seem to like it that much. Sometimes you do find on certain machines, ME will run a lot more reliably than 98 will. And to be honest, on an 800 MHz machine, I don't see myself wanting Real DOS mode too much, you know? On a 600 MHz machine, maybe. But on an 800 MHz machine, I don't think so. Anyway, let's do the Canyon test, and we'll call this a wrap. Derp. It's not going well, is it? Thus concludes how to install Windows 98 2nd edition onto the ThinkPad T21. Thank you for watching this video. If you have any comments, please feel free to leave one. Obviously, offensive comments will be deleted. If you liked what you saw, please feel free to subscribe to my channel. And while you're there, you are more than welcome to peruse through my videos. And I hope you will all be here to join me for my next video. Thank you for watching.